great to have Brooke on. She, my daughter, we're Blazer fans, and we'll jump into this, but we're gonna have Brooke Olzendam on from the Portland Trail Blazers. She's our sideline reporter, and we are missing her. We have to watch old Blazer games to get our fix of like just feeling like we're home. We're season ticket holders, so we really miss it. So I'm gonna bring Brooke on right now to get to the point. Hey, Brooke.
Hello. How are you?
How are you doing? It's so good to like see you in person besides watching all these old Blazer games that you're on. And we're like, we really miss Moda Center. Like everybody, you know, Daryl on the camera. I never realized how often Daryl got run over by everyone that he's at.
I love Daryl. Daryl's about the nicest man you'll ever meet in your whole life. He's always smiling, always, giving a high five. He's one of my favorite people. That's one of the things, Eric, that I miss the most. I've realized is I love covering live sports and basketball. The NBA is my favorite. It's my dream job, and I'm doing it. So I feel so lucky. But part of the of the aspect of a live game and being at Moda Center, I didn't realize just how much the human interaction meant to me. Like Daryl, like all the ushers. I mean, we usually have the same ushers in the same spots. I mean, sometimes they change, but so I have all my people. I got everyone in the spot there usually are, and I just, I miss the routine of it and checking in and saying, how's your son? What's going on? What's new, Terry? What's new? And just talking to the people in your corner, and then every once in a while when it's a ESPN game that we also broadcast, I go to the other side. I'm with a different photographer, John Curry, and then I get to talk to all the fans down there that I usually don't see. It's kind of a treat. And I just miss the interaction. I miss seeing faces I know and meeting new people. And it was, a pleasure meeting you and Maddie. And I hope that maybe she'll make a cameo in this so I can say hi. But yeah, man,
she's in the Zoom call and finishing it up, but she was bragging to the school, her classmates at Mountain here in Beaverton, which they're all fans of yours. I think it's Blazer anything. We just had Jeff Attila on from the Timbers, and you know how Portland fans are. We are fanatical about our sports. And when you take it all away from us at once, it's just horrible. We don't know what to do. It's like you just took the Blazers away from us, and we don't know what we're supposed. It's been fun while the stream, especially with like Dame and CJ. I mean, is it just me? I have to ask completely off topic. Did CJ's dog grow like a bunch in like 3 weeks, or is it just me?
Well, all you can do is feed the dog at this point and walk the dog. So, I mean, he's getting some extra. He's maybe putting on some muscle, eating like a king. But yes, the dog has grown exponentially. Yeah, that picture, I think the Blazers either retweeted it or reposted it on Instagram. That dog is cute, though. I'll say that. And it clearly, they love that dog. And who doesn't love a dog? But it's really cute to watch. Because CJ, he's got a kind of a tough exterior. He's all business. He takes his preparation very seriously and his practice very seriously. So it's kind of fun to watch him. A different side of him where he's very into and obviously like raising his dog, and just a very more sensitive side, I guess, that watching him raise this puppy. So I think that those are the stories of this whole, lockdown, quarantine, whatever you want to call it, that you kind of get a glimpse of into what these players are doing to pass the time and into their family life too. You mentioned, I did an Instagram live, what's called Olzengram live. We have another one tomorrow with Yusuf Nurkic, which should be a treat.
I'll be tuning in for that one for sure.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun. You never know what Nurk's going to say, which is one of the reasons I love him. But Dame, brought in his son when we had it, and it was a couple times. So that's just the stuff that people like at this point. We can't watch a game, so let's just find out what the guys are doing and how they're interacting, and that's kind of the content other than classic games that we can get right now, and I think that fans are thirsty for it, and I feel the same way. I want as much as I possibly can. Anytime I see one of the guys like, Nurk has joined a live, or anybody, Mello, I'm the first guy. Gotta get there, see what they're doing, just because that's all we have right now.
Absolutely. And I was laughing because I was thinking, was it last night or 2 nights ago, Dame did the live tweeting of Game 5, which I have chills because just like you, I was up in section 213 with all our crazies and just reliving that. And I got emotional. Like I was watching it, and like when Nurk came out, I remember that moment. I was crying. My wife was right next to me and looked at me, and she's like, "You're bawling like a baby." We were at the game. We were at the Nets game when his leg broke. And I don't know about you, but that was the quietest I've ever heard Moda after a win. It was absolutely like walking out of a funeral that game. So to have him without a cast, with his little skinny leg, come walking out. And of course, you're closer. I mean, I'm sure I love your feedback. And I kind of thought of this question. I was like, were you at your little desk when he just came strolling on by midway through the third?
I was at my desk. I was at my desk when he broke his leg too, which was the worst experience of my career. I, like you try to be professional, and I had to gather myself. I was emotional as well, being so close to it, being a fan and a friend of Nurk, and someone who covers him and just respects him and respects the fact that he, turned his career around and took advantage of this opportunity that was given to him to come to a new team and just change everything about his life and his career. And he jumped on it and he took advantage of it. And it was a success story. And so when that happened, it just, that just broke my heart. So I had to pull it together, and we'll get back to the initial question, but it's kind of like a twofold. So when that happened, I was talking to my producer, Dan Hyatt, and obviously he knew I was emotional about it. And I even said, I go, Dan, do I have, because we won that game, and I said, Dan, do I have to do a post-game interview? I mean, it was hard for me to, get it together. He's like, you're a professional. Yes, you do. You'll be fine. Go get it. And he's one of my closest friends. And so, we talked that we're straightforward with it. And he was absolutely right. So I did an interview with Seth Curry, and, we got through it, and he was a professional. I did the best I could, and I think it was okay. And hopefully you couldn't tell that I had been quite emotional right before that. But that was one of those things where, I'll never forget it, but I learned a lot about myself and learned a lot about, being a professional in moments like that, because I had never been in a moment like that. Fast forward to your question. When Nurk came out, same sort of situation. So talking to my producer, I see Nurk. None of us knew. Remember, he didn't even decide he was coming until like towards the end. Right? Yeah, he looked at Amina, his girlfriend. He's like, "How long can it?" This is my favorite story. He's like, "How long will it take you to be ready?" She's like, ready, or just ready? Which is like exactly what I would say. I'd be like, I could go now, or I could do what I would normally do, and I'll be ready in like 25 minutes. So she's like, he got up, he's like, let's go. And so they got in the car and came down, and none of us knew. It was because of course it was spontaneous move on his part. So I'm sitting at my little desk. He walks by me. I was like, oh my gosh. And I grab my mic and get my talk back, because I got to tell our director, Jeff Curtin, because he directs the cameras, and so he has no clue that he's walking out. So that's what I try to do in my position is, if I see something that the guys in the truck can't see, I let them know. If there's an injury, like someone's walking off, I'm like, Mario's walking to the locker room, and they'll find a camera to show it, because sometimes you can't see everything. So if I see,
you said that a lot this season, I'm sure. Then.
Oh gosh.
Sorry.
That's my story. So I see him walk out, and I say, oh my gosh, Nurk's here. And I hear Dan and Jeff go, oh my gosh. And so Jeff quickly gets a camera on him walking out. Oh, I feel the same way. And when you see him just like lean forward and clapping, and he even said, he's like, I knew my presence would help us win. I knew it would change the energy, and it did. I mean, they were down substantially. I mean, not substantially, but like the momentum was not the Blazers at that moment. Nurk comes out, Dame goes crazy. Everyone just kind of. It was the most beautiful couple of minutes. It was like
you took the words out of my. As a fan sitting in the arena and then watching it on TV, because of course when you don't think of it.
Yeah.
I remember that game like every moment, but the moment he walked out, I've never watched a crowd shift because we were down. It was tough. I mean, OKC has a talent team, Mr. Rock the Baby and all the other wonderful stuff that team has. And, it was just great to see him come out, and the camera hit him. And it was funny because I told my wife, I said, is that Nurk? Because I didn't believe it, because there's a guy without a cast on his leg. And I was like, I was here 4 weeks ago when you did that. And that was not a pretty injury. I mean, I remember it. And to see him there and then watch that game the other night and just relive that shot again. Just to watch all the air. I mean, you and I both being in the arena for wherever we both were, you just remember how all the air in the arena kind of whooshed out and then came right back. I mean, how loud we all got. I mean, it was like the Super Bowl, the NBA championship, all wrapped in one. We were dancing out front. They had that stage set up in front of Moda. I mean, my wife and I were out there with a bunch of millennials dancing around to music we've never listened to, but we were out there for like 2 hours. It was a blast and it was round one, and you're not supposed to behave that way in round one, but it was a beautiful shot. Great series.
You know what I'll say? It was one of those series where, it's round one. It's not like this, like you said, it felt like the Super Bowl. It's the first series. There's a lot more basketball to be played. But the reason it felt like that is because, in my opinion, like you mentioned, there was so much. I would maybe say drama, but I mean back and forth with Russ and Dame, where Dame wasn't. I mean, Dame said to us, and this was one of my favorite quotes. He's like, I'm not trash talker. I don't do that. But if you come to my front door, I'm going to answer it. And so Russ came to his front door like every day. I'm here again, and so he's going to respond, but he's not over the top responder. He's out there to play basketball. Yes, he's a very intense guy, but he is not about that, So with all that stuff during the series, it just added to it. And you mentioned the Rock the Baby, all these little things that could have gotten under Dame's skin that he just instead, but they fueled him. So there's all these things back and forth that just made that series so fun, and you just never knew what was going to happen. So I think that that's part of it. And if you guys get a chance, and I know you're such a big fan, you've probably watched this because you saw it on our Twitter and our Instagram, but Mara Baptist, who leads our social media and one of my closest friends, had the best idea. I think it was her, or it might have been Aaron Grossman's. I shouldn't say it's one of the two, or maybe Adams. I'm terrible. Well, someone in our social media, decided to go and find everyone's like reaction around town or wherever they were. So they found like, in bars, in restaurants, at home, in the living room. It could be a couple people. It could be a group of dudes in college. And that video of the reactions, I can't tell you how many times I've watched that video in quarantine, like now, not back then. I mean, I watched it a ton back then, but when I need a pick me up, I go watch that. And I watched it about 20 times in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I watched it a couple times in quarantine. Also, It just makes me feel good. I miss Moda Center so much. I think I'm bugging my account manager at HQ because I'm just like, hey, just random question, like, hey, do we know the CISC schedule for next season? She's like, Eric, we're not even done with this one. I'm just randomly emailing you because I want to feel connected to the Blazers because I miss going. I mean, when you go, you hit. But I mean, Brooke, you hit the nail on the head, and I said this from the moment we went into quarantine. It's those attendants at Moda Center. I know ours, Mary, we love you in Section 201. It just all those folks are amazing, and it was great to see the organization from top to bottom put those game day folks first. And I love that. Absolutely. When you see other teams, organizations not doing that, it's great to be part of the Trailblazers family. As a season ticket holder, we consider ourselves part of the family.
Of course.
It's great to see it. And I mean, you hit the nail on the head. So I thought that was great that you brought that up because those folks are so important. I mean, that's income that they count on, for at least 41 games. But we would go to the playoffs this season. I know we would. So that's part of the reason that, this is so, I mean, it's disappointing to not be playing in general. We all know that, it goes without saying, but I've talked about this a couple of times, just the unknown, because they had a chance. The guys talked about it, and Dame said, I would look at this as one of the biggest challenges in my career is to get this team to the playoffs. And, how gratifying would that have been for him to do so. And we had, the Nurk coming back. That was in the books. That was set. We knew it was happening. Hopefully Zach at some point. And so the frustrating part is the unknown, what could have been, and not to say that it might not come back. I really don't know. People ask me like I have an insight. No one has an insight right now. It's just a fluid situation that we are just every day something new is learned, and we're just kind of sit and wait and wait till we're told what to do. But we do not know what's going to happen. If there's a season, I would love it. If everything is under control enough for that to happen, that would be great. But I just miss it. I miss everybody. It's funny. That's why I was like, I have to have Brooke on my episode because I fix of the Blazers. It's like we're watching everything. I loved your interview with Zach, his mustache.
Zach, I love that.
I love our team. Like I love how they're so fun to watch, and they're very. I've run into them after games at restaurants. I'm not naming restaurants because I don't want to lose the fun to be able to go to those. Those guys are so down to earth. We've met a few players' moms. And like, they're so cool because we're like, we don't want to harass. I'm not saying anybody's name, but my wife and I were at a restaurant. My wife ends up in the, washing her hands right next to a player's mom. Yeah. And my wife's like, we won tonight. And she's like, oh, do you have a player on the team? And she's like, no, we're season ticket holders, but we use the we phrase. I'm like, hey, we give the Blazers money. So therefore we're part of the team. I'm like, we show up like you guys do. We wear uniforms.
No, and you know what I want to say? I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to bring it up at some point. Today is my mom's
Appreciation Day. You're right. I'm glad I forgot it. I'm looking at my notes. I'm glad you're running with it.
Okay, sorry. Let me get situated. I don't know what just happened in my social media. Today is Blazers Fan Appreciation Day. So I have a video I'm going to put out on Twitter and Instagram in a little bit. Nothing big, just me thanking everybody. But I mean, for me personally, and it is personal. That is the word, is personal. Since I started with this organization, these fans have truly become family. And that sounds hokey, but I don't care. It's true. It is so true, because that when I say Rip City community, it is such a strong group of people that truly care about each other, that have each other's back, that you watch the interaction and it's like you'd think these people had known each other, since they were kids. And it's just their love of the Blazers, and that brings them together. And it's such a beautiful thing for me to see. And so I've gotten the opportunity to interact with so many of them, and not just on social media, but at games. You meet someone on Twitter that sends you a message. I'd love to, maybe see you sometime. Like, come on down. You get to see them in person. Then you start a friendship. Next year, the same thing. Like with you, I've saw you and your daughter. That became a thing where I saw you a couple times after that. How you doing? What's new? Like, those are the most beautiful things to me. These interactions that start with a quick, maybe a message on Twitter, and then you meet the person and you're friends for life. And then people that you never meet, because some people can't come to games. That doesn't mean they're not fans, and they interact throughout every game. They're always on social media, and you feel like that person. So it's just, this community is so impressive and amazing, and I feel so lucky to be able to work for this organization and have the fans that we do, because they're not just passionate fans, but they are educated, and they know what they're talking about, and they know the game, and they know the players, and you can't get anything by them. I'm just saying that it's Fan Appreciation Day.
Best fans in the NBA, but we're both partial to one team.
That's exactly what I was going to end with. Best fans in the NBA.
Well, we love our team. We love what you do. We love Amira. We love the entire. Like, it's funny. We know everybody who's not a player. As a Blazer fan, it's funny. You get to know everybody. You're like, yes, like you're cheering for them, clapping at the season ticket holder event we did in February. It was the same way. We saw people, and I'm like, hey, that's that. And just like, we're a bunch of goofballs, but that's how we are. We're the best fans in the NBA. We're loud. For a team that doesn't get a lot of respect, and our players don't get that much respect, I love this team. I love the organization and everything we do. I thank you, Brooke, for coming on. We got to run to our next guest. Thank you so much. I'd love to have you on in a couple weeks again to talk more. Maybe we'll have an NBA season we'll be prepping for. Maybe.
Let's hope so.
I'm with you. We need it. I'm sick of horse and all these other horrible things that they're.